Boom, 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 boom. Ba-da, ba-da.
When I'm old as fuck, and it's like 2059, my main concern. Did Frank finally drop some music? Did Frank finally drop some music? I said when I'm old as fuck, and it's like 2059, my main concern. Did Frank finally drop some music? Did Frank finally drop some music?
I woke up this morning and figured I'd call you in case you don't drop tomorrow. I was hoping that I could borrow a piece of time, just like 8 hours up in the stew. Is that really that hard for you? Is it that hard? Is it actually? Yo, it's been 2,836 days since Blonde came out in 2016. Damn near 3 stacks. That's over 68,000 hours. Do you know how fucking crazy that is? Barack Obama was still in office, but Trump hadn't even been elected yet. We're about to be done with our second full presidential term without a Frank Ocean album. This is depressing. We might just have to accept the fact that we're dealing with another Lauryn Hill situation. That lady dropped one of the greatest albums in music history and then said, yeah, I don't feel like ever doing that again. It's so bad, even Tyler don't know where this dude at, bruh.
Sing a song, cause this nigga not coming out. We don't know where that nigga is, so.
It's interesting because it seemed like Frank was gearing up to drop an album around 2020. It was basically confirmed. I don't know if y'all remember, but he was dropping a bunch of singles back to back in like 2019 and early 2020, and they each had like a different pose as the cover. On the bottom of the DHL and in my room covers, you could see a bunch of silhouettes. Frank's poses on those 2 covers matched 2 of the silhouettes. The other 2 singles both had silhouettes from the previous covers. Obviously, this implies that there's a song for every silhouette, and this was some sort of track list or something. Unfortunately, we all know what happened in 2020. Right around the time Dear April and Cayendo released, actually, COVID touched down in the United States, and after that, it was raps. Frank said he had a tour planned that COVID canceled, and that kind of supports the idea that there might have been plans to drop the album around then. It wasn't just COVID, though. Maybe we would have still got the album later when COVID started to die down, possibly. Unfortunately, after the tragic accident that killed Frank's brother in August 2020, any hopes for an album disappeared, and for good reason. I saw a lot of people saying all kinds of sick shit like, oh, the new album gonna slap now, oh, it's gonna hit now, and I couldn't believe my fucking ears. The man's brother just died, and a few people were using it to hype an album. It was an awful, awful time. I knew there wouldn't be an album for a while after that, though, and it didn't make any sense for there to be one. Sudden loss completely changes you as a person, and you look at literally everything in life differently. Some of the shit you looked at with joy and excitement just looks dull and dead to you. Your whole outlook on the world changes. I wouldn't be shocked if Frank looked at that album he had tucked and just tossed it. I'd completely understand if he did. I used to write little stories just for fun when I was younger, maybe half a decade ago, and something happened with a person that completely destroyed me for a little while. I would read back a lot of my older little stories that I wrote, and they didn't make me feel anything at all. They just felt kind of dull and lifeless. Traumatic events that change you or force you to mature also, unfortunately, forever alter how you view things you might have loved in the past. I lived with severe depression for a few years recently, and that shit really sucks the life out of you in every way. I can't even imagine how bad it must have been being hit with that shit out of nowhere. It's been 4 years since then, and there hasn't been too much of a sign of Frank coming out with an album besides those snippets he posted on his Instagram story. I've questioned at some points whether he's ever even gonna drop again. It's a real possibility that he just never makes another album. It's not really any of our place to complain about the decisions he makes with his voice, but man, the thought of never hearing another new Frank Ocean song is a miserable thought. I remember back during quarantine, there was a period of time where I used to scour the internet looking for any of his music I could find, because at that time, it had been 4 years since Blonde, and I was starving. That's actually how I found out about the Lonnie Bro collection, which turned out to have a few of my favorite Frank songs ever. My first time hearing Wiseman was a different experience, bruh. At this point, though, I've exhausted all my resources. I'm convinced I've found every song there is to find. Only thing to do now is wait and hope there's more coming at some point. It was an interesting question I've been thinking about, though, and it's something that isn't asked much with artists nowadays, because I actually feel like the standards might be dropping a little, but what would a new Frank Ocean album even sound like? The majority of popular artists in the modern day drop so much that you don't even think about sudden changes to their sound. You're on the path with them as they drop every year or every couple of years, and you witness their style slowly evolve, if it even does. Obviously, there's a lot of artists who don't even bother switching shit up at all. I swear, Lil Baby been making the same song since the Stone Age. Gunna falling into that same trap too with that new album, but let me shut up. This ain't about them. With artists that take long gaps between their projects, there's always this element of surprise from the general public when they drop something new that's so artistically different from their previous music. Channel Orange was more traditionally R&B, and that's part of why it was so mainstream friendly, and it got a lot of the general public into Frank Ocean. In like 2013, not long after Channel Orange dropped, Frank played early versions of Ivy and Siegfried, and they sounded absurdly different. Hold on, let me pull them up.
Thought that I was dreaming when you said you loved me. Yes, it started from nothing. If I could see through walls, I could see it faking. If you could see my thoughts, you would see our faces. The markings on your surface, your speckles fade.
They literally sound like songs that could be on Channel Orange, obviously because this was literally right after Channel Orange. By the time Blonde came out though, they were damn near whole new songs. The demo still sounds good by the way, but the studio version fits in with the somber, nostalgic vibes of Blonde way more. And it's way more of a deviation from Channel Orange, which is a good thing because we want artists to evolve. Same with Siegfried, which was way more, I guess, eerily dreamy on Blonde than the demo. Now we're in 2024, and relative to most artists, we haven't heard much from Frank since Blonde. He released some singles here and there, of course. His Moon River cover is one of my favorite songs of his. But since 2020, when he dropped Dear April and Cayendo, we don't have a single thing. We actually have no idea what new Frank music will sound like, and it's so interesting to me. I've obviously never known Frank personally, but he does seem like a bit of a perfectionist. The pressure's only building after almost a decade of not dropping, so it's likely that he's taking his time to make something perfect. Who knows? We literally have no choice but to wait. Even if he never drops a full album again though, I think it absolutely says something that it's been 8 years since he released the album, and he's still talked about regularly on a daily basis everywhere. He has millions and millions of people patiently waiting to hear the slightest word. I mean, this entire account is dedicated to giving updates about his whereabouts because just seeing him feels like it's a special occasion to some people. That's all you need to confirm that you've made an extreme impact on a whole generation of people, and I do hope that he knows that.